What's happening, guys? The purpose of this video today is to give you the tools and make it really clear what it is that you need to do to get results here at the lift department. So I'm just gonna dive straight into things and I'm gonna use the whiteboard. Don't get overwhelmed with all the stuff on the whiteboard. It's purely just for me to reference so I can remember what to say to you guys as well. So let's just dive straight in, make sure we're getting results. All right, so we've always got to start off with the question why. Simon Sinek's book, always start with why. Why at lift department? There's two groups you're gonna be in. Group number one is either you're just here to move, you're happy to just be part of it, and that's fine. There are a few of you guys that are happy to just to show up, get moving, enjoy the exercise. But the overwhelming majority of you guys, meaning more than 90%, are here because you're here to improve. You're here to see some things changing. We wanna, we wanna increase muscle, we wanna decrease fat, we wanna improve our fitness, we wanna look better, we wanna tone, shape, we wanna do all these sort of things. Most of you guys have signed up to the gym here because you fall into this category here, okay? And so the purpose of today is to say that if you're in this category, that's fine. It's the end of, you can stop watching the video now. Finished. End of video, no need to watch anymore. If you're in this category where you're coming to the gym and you actually wanted to see some things changing, well then this video is pretty important for you and I'm gonna dive into why, how we're gonna make things change, okay? So, let's go down the flow chart. Are you training? Well, you're at the lift department, so I'm hoping that you're training. The training and the programming is sorted for you. That's an extra piece of the recipe or piece of the puzzle you don't need to worry about. We've got that sorted. We look after the programming. Your job is just to make sure that you're showing up to the gym a reasonable amount of times in a week, ideally 3 times a week, 3-4 times a week to get your sessions in and get that intensity. That's a non-negotiable. That's your foundation. In order for us to be building muscle, improving our fitness, we need to have that stimulation there and that frequency of attendance. And that's what we've got covered. That's why you're here. So you're a massive step up ahead of just the average person that is still at home scratching their head reading articles on how to lose fat. If you're not training, start training. You guys are training, so we're good. Now, the next and the whole purpose of this video is, are you doing anything specific with your nutrition? I've underlined specific because just trying to eat better isn't specific. So when we go into specific things with nutrition, yes, you are doing something specific, meaning meal plans, MyFitnessPal tracking, whatever it is gonna be. Cool, you're on the right path. You're seeing results, you're seeing week-to-week changes. You've learned the skills or you already have the skills to maintain, to improve. You know whether you need to put your foot on the gas and go harder on something and be more strict with your calories and whatever. You understand all that. Once again, the overwhelming majority of you guys that are here, no one's doing anything specific with nutrition. At some stage in your fitness journey, especially if you're someone watching this now and you're like, I've got 3 kilos, 5 kilos, 10 kilos to lose, whatever it is, you're gonna need to do a specific block where you have to do one of these. It's just a non-negotiable. It doesn't matter. So you're either going to go the long way around, which believe me, I've done in my career as well. The long way around because I was so stubborn to not want to track calories and not be that guy that weighs his food. It's an inevitable thing. You're going to have to do it. So just make peace with that. If you can't make peace with that, make peace with the fact that nothing's going to change and you're going to keep training for no reason and you're going to feel self-righteous about the fact that you're trying to make a difference, but nothing's changed. All right. So on that topic, what doesn't work is, trying to be better. So I say this all the time, this intention feels really good. It gives us this sort of rush of dopamine that we're finally ready to do something. But the intention, don't confuse intending to change, don't confuse trying to change as actually doing the work, actually following the system. It's like off the top of my head, if I wanted to get into investing and improving a stocks portfolio, whatever it is, I have no idea about that stuff. But once again, if I was just to go and do that and try, I can't expect anywhere near the results that if I was to follow a specific system to have an outcome, as well as have particular tracking and things that give me the data to know what trajectory am I on. Am I in the right place or not? Most people don't even understand that. I think most people maybe come to us for help, but see themselves as someone like, oh, I know how to keep track. I know how to know whether I'm on the right path or what. It's like, the truth is you don't, so we need to have a system that shows that week 1, week 2, week 3, where are we at? What do we need to do? Do we need to restrict things even more or can we afford loosening things up? So things that don't work, cutting carbs, skipping meals, keto, intermittent fasting, all of these things. I have been doing this for a really long time. I've never seen any one of these things ever eventuate to a long-term sustainable change that people can stick with forever. So they don't work. They have a temporary short, half-life where you can stick to something like intermittent fasting or keto or whatever. Even carnivore and all that shit that's out now. Like, there's a half-life to all these things where eventually you're just a regular human trying to live normal life and go to a restaurant with your friends, or eat dinner after 7 p.m. one time. Like it's not sustainable. Why people keep going back to these perplexes me, especially in today's overly informed world. People still keep going back to these things. I guess the answer to that really, as I'm speaking, is that they do give very quick, instant results. You know, cutting carbohydrates out of your diet gives you a pretty quick, you know, maybe a quick scale win or something, and plus, you know, the level of discipline that it sticks to it feels good, but it doesn't last. So yeah, these do not work. Now we're gonna go through with what we do at TLD is a nutrition license system. We've come up with this, you know, a couple of years ago. It wasn't really actually meant to be a proper thing, but it's turned into like a really good way of just explaining it. Now with most of you guys here, we need to go from this blurred line of like trying to do something to like actually doing something. And I think people also get really overwhelmed with like, okay, if I do this meal plan thing or this MyFitnessPal thing, that's just too strict for me. I can't do that. I don't have the time. I'm too overwhelmed. And I'm going to talk later on, I guess, in this video about how they're all just limiting beliefs, and actually all of the things that we teach here, they're tools that give you more freedom, more time, more flexibility, more energy. More of the things that you want are actually hidden in the work that we're avoiding, which is what we're going to get into now. So your nutrition license, L's, red P's, green P's, full license. Just like a driving license, L platers, and for good reason, have more rules and more sanctions and more things that are applicable to them than full licensed drivers do. And that's the way it should be. A full licensed driver's been driving for however many years. They've proven to go through all the different things and jump through all of the hoops. The L plater needs to do his 170 hours or whatever it is. He needs to go through a very rigorous test. You know, if they're in a test and they take one hand off the wheel, it's an instant fail. Those things don't apply for the full license guys. So when you're coming into the phases of learning nutrition, you need to start as an L plater. You need to have very clear guardrails of what you can and you can't follow, what are rules, and you know what, it sucks. You're gonna have to suck it up a little bit. There's like a, you know, huff and puff about the fact that you're gonna have to drive with someone in the passenger seat with you for a little bit, and that's just the reality. What we've seen in our experience with running so many challenges in nutrition mentorships is guys that are dialed in, people that just follow the structure and do things properly, they can get this all done in 10 weeks. Like within 10 weeks, you can go from L plater to a full license, full flexibility. This is obviously on the lower end of the scale. 10 weeks is probably the shortest we've seen, but it's probably somewhere between 10 weeks to, you know, up to, you know, 3 to 6 months. It depends how hard you go into things. Now, but the point is, once you've got to this point of full flexibility, it's exactly that. You're at a point in your life where by then you've lost the majority of the fat that you wanted to get rid of. You're fueling yourself better than ever before. You understand portion control and why we harp on about, you know, eating your breakfast and your lunch and your dinners and your snacks and making sure you get your protein. You start to see beyond the meal plan. You actually start to see the system behind it. You start to see, oh, okay, this plan, these, you know, 4 meals a day and a snack or whatever it is specifically chosen for me to get X amount of nutrients in a day with X amount of time between each one to keep me regulated and my blood sugars regulated and my, you know, to help equip me from starving myself, being highly strung out, highly stressed, underslept, all these different things, which they kind of this reoccurring cycle of self-sabotage. Underslept, you're making poor decisions and whatever. If you're underslept and you're stressed, but you have a meal plan that you follow, emotions aside, you're just following the system. That's what the L plate situation is for. As soon as you can prove that you can stick to something really strict and just do it and you're starting to see results, we start to loosen the noose, so to speak, and give you more flexibility and along with the flexibility that we're going to give you, it's also trying to learn how to make the decisions yourself on swapping foods out, or when I'm going to a restaurant, which we'll talk about actually later on. I've skipped a little bit far ahead, so bear with me. Hopefully you're still watching. Anyway, we'll go for that later. So non-negotiables are weighing food, using MyFitnessPal, following a meal plan. So circle background, if that's too hard for you to do, cool story, just agree now that nothing's gonna change, or you might see some slight change and that's as far as it's gonna go. You won't get to the place that you're really wanting to if you're in this category of dropping fat, building muscle, whatever. Like it's a cap potential. Okay, so these are the non-negotiables. Now, if you want to do this on your own, it's completely fine. Like we are more than happy to facilitate that in terms of like you do it yourself. There's so many tools available to make this happen nowadays. It's insane. So if you're going to do this yourself, there's an AI generated meal plan. You can literally go onto ChatGPT or whatever. This is my age, this is my height, this is my weight. These are all the foods I love to eat. These are all the foods that I hate eating. These are the snacks that I want to include. These are the non-negotiable junk foods that I need to have. I love having a beer on a Friday Friday night with a friend, like if whatever, it'll help you spit out a pretty good meal plan. Now, with that meal plan, that probably the next step further for the guys that are a bit more, you know, a bit more equipped. The next step further is you should fact check that meal plan on MyFitnessPal. It's a non-negotiable. Download MyFitnessPal. You know, plug in the foods, check to see whether all the calories and macros are aligned with ChatGPT's given you, which might be like 1,800 calories a day or 1,900 calories a day. My protein is going to be 2.2 grams per kilo of body weight. Blah blah blah. It spits out the metrics, and you're just going to fact check that. Yeah. So there's AI generated meal plans. There's pre-done for you plans which you can buy on. There's so many pre-done for you plans. 1,800, 2,000, whatever. Stay away from anything 1,200 calories. All that's bullshit. Stay away from 1,200 calorie plans unless you're like this tall and weigh 40 kilos. 1,200 calorie plans are not for you. Okay. Download MyFitnessPal. Buy yourself your kitchen scale. They're going to be your tools you're going to have to use. So tracking your food with MyFitnessPal Monday to Sunday, and do your weigh-ins Monday and Friday. So you got to weigh in. If you're not weighing in, Monday and Friday, week on week, you're not going to see it. You're not going to know how things are tracking. So there's also that viable, like, I'm just not a scale person and I'm trying to stay away from the scale and blah, blah. I get that. Like, I understand that. But if you're someone that's got 5, 10 or 15 kilos to lose, for example, you're probably going to need to use this scale as a tool. I get that people get a bit hypervigilant with the number and they get a bit overwhelmed by it, but you need to have some form of week to week data. And that's really what you're treating it as, just a trajectory tool to see if you're on track. Week 1, week 2, week 3. Are things changing Monday and Friday? Are we seeing sort of like an incremental decrease? There are obviously some fluctuations, or there's some times where things don't change, but over a 4-week, 8-week, 12-week, 16-week block, there should still be this trending down. If it's not trending downwards, then something's missing. You're not doing something right. Either, there's so many variables, but you're probably not tracking properly. If you're tracking properly, you can see all the calories you're having in a day, and you know whether you're blowing things. With MyFitnessPal as well, it is a skill, and like with any skill, there is a period of time where it sucks and it's really time consuming and it takes a lot of energy. But eventually with MyFitnessPal, it becomes a really liberating tool that you can use all the time. Even further than that, eventually you won't even need MyFitnessPal. I don't remember the last time that I personally had tracked food and whatever. Like, I've kind of just, you know how to intuitively eat after years. If I wanted to take things a step further, if I wanted to go through a real cutting phase, get even leaner, add even more muscle by doing a bulk, whatever it's going to be, I will need to start tracking again at some stage. But for the interim, I'm happy to train. I'm in this category. Just move, train, feel good, be consistent. That's enough for me. If I decide to flip the switch, I've got the skills to do that. If you guys want help with this more, let me know. But really, all the information and stuff's available. The truth of the matter is, it's not an issue of like knowing how to reach out for these tools. It's sticking it with it for long enough. You can have your little burst of motivation that lasts a week or 2 weeks, but having someone with you, like, I guess, guiding you past that week or 2 week mark or 3 or 4 week mark, if you make it that far, is really the linchpin for seeing long-term changes and sticking with something for long enough. With the TLD mentorship, which is in the form of either nutrition mentorship or a transformation challenge, they're the two opportunities you have to work with us as a coach. You've got accountability. You've got someone in your corner 24/7. You can reach out, ask questions, work and bounce with that coach week in, week out, and we hold you accountable when you're not feeling like doing it, because guaranteed there's going to be weeks and days where you just can't be bothered. Problem solving, guided solutions. We help you. So in the beginning, in the L plate stage, we might just give you the solution, but as soon as you start to wrap your head around things, instead of just giving you solutions, we're going to say, what do you think the answer to this thing is? And then whatever your answer is, no matter if it's wrong, doesn't matter. Break it apart for you, educate you, make you understand how things could improve, how that decision could be made better and whatever. It's lots of little tiny decisions and educational bits and pieces over months that are going to really make the difference, right? Planning ahead, always preparing. So for example, the weekends that are coming up, preparing for the weekend. If you've got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you've got 3 events on. If you don't have the skills or the knowledge or how to work through a weekend of 3 or 4 events or whatever it is, you're just going to blow out your calorie budget. People don't understand how easy it is in one sitting to just like blow out your calorie budget over a weekend of just one indulgent weekend. Helping you mitigate that. All right, out of the 3 events, this event here, this is what we're going to do. We're going to try, we're going to cut this out. This event here, you can enjoy a bit more, but whatever, like working with a coach on that. Now, noobs versus coach. Newbies, speed is important. I need results like that. Coach, trajectory is important. So we're gonna help focus on your trajectory, and if speed comes along the way, for that's a bonus too. Last but not least, I guess, overall with all this, so you need education and the tools, how to use the tools, why use the tools, which is part of the skill that gives you freedom and hopefully gets you results. Hopefully there's some takeaways from this video. I think if I'm trying to boil this all down, it's like if you're here to see changes, if you are showing up week on week and you're not happy with how things are progressing, or like, you think you have 2 or 3 kilos to lose or whatever it is, you're gonna need to make some specific changes, okay? I think we're tired of seeing people coming on board, doing the training part of the thing, not focusing on anything else outside of this, and then just like rinse and repeating the same thing over and over again. So this is just video 1. Hopefully there'll be some more educational videos, deep diving into a few more of these things. Hopefully you got some value out of that, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks guys.